is a state senator. He's a Republican. He's also running for Attorney General. Good morning, Kurt Schaefer. Welcome to KTRS Radio.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Is there enough money that you can cut from some of these services that will actually be beneficial to the roads?
Well, I mean, to provide some clarity to that, the savings that we're looking at from some of the efficiencies we found in some of the welfare programs really come from what we did last year. So, for example, on Medicaid delivery, we've had managed care of the Medicaid population along the I-70 corridor from St. Louis to Kansas City for years, but we haven't had it in the rest of the state. And that saved the state a lot of money. So what we did last year is we actually broadened that to the entire state. We're projecting some pretty substantial savings. We're still looking exactly what that number is, but this would be the year to take those savings in welfare delivery and put it towards some things that really affect all Missourians, like the issue with transportation. And so really what we're looking at specifically doing is taking that money. MoDOT has a fund that they used to fund. They haven't funded it in a long time. And it allows for roughly a 50-50 match. It's not exactly 50-50, but it lets MoDOT put in half of it, and then it allows a local county or a municipality to leverage that money with either federal money or their own money to do projects. And these are the things that people really see every day. They're intersection improvements, they're on and off ramps, they're overpasses, local overpasses, and things like that. So this would provide some immediate relief on some of these transportation issues.
Some immediate relief, and something that would be widely popular, Kurt Schaefer, would be if the state could stop the cities from giving away all sorts of TIF financing. And so you've made news recently, you want the city to do away with the earnings tax. Why not make it and pass some TIF reform so that these communities stop giving billionaires like Stan Kroenke TIF money to help destroy our region?
Well, we've had TIF reform. In fact, the last 2 years, I sponsored a TIF reform bill, which unfortunately didn't make it all the way through. I think we do need to look at TIF, but I think that's a separate issue from on the ground right now, allowing MoDOT to partner with these local municipalities or counties, which they've been doing for years. They simply stopped funding this fund a while back. And so this is a mechanism that as I said, I've tried to get TIF reform through, and before me, others did as well. It didn't make it. But this is
I understand. Okay.
Takes it outside that context and it gets the money on the ground.
I understand it's different pools of money and it's different pots and roads and bridges versus schools and I understand all that. But the bigger picture is that in an era where Republicans and Democrats can't agree on what day of the week it is, we all agree that there is TIF abuse. So how can it be that if everyone agrees we can't get this done, and we're going to watch another example of Stan Kroenke get a giant TIF weeks after he told the country this region is depressed? How can that be?
I mean, I don't think I'm saying that we're never going to get TIF reform. What I'm telling you is I had a bill along with previously the pro tem of the Senate, Senator Dempsey.
But why can't it go through?
And we tried to get that through. It will make it through at some point. It just takes a long time to educate people.
Well, no, hold on a second. We've had TIFs for 20 years. What's the problem? Why can't we get this done if everyone agrees it's an issue?
Well, because I don't think everyone agrees on the solution. And I'll give you an example. What my bill would do is right now you've got a very questionable makeup, for example, of who is on these TIF commissions. And so, for example, and it's particularly relevant in St. Louis, where you've got over 90 municipalities, where you'll have one entity that has TIF authority. It has a commission made up of just people in that area, and you have no one from the county, for example, or other entities that are actually impacted by the economics of that TIF. What my bill would have done is broaden that to make sure that you had a region-wide representation, at least if a TIF was going to be taken up, and you would have a broader representation of all the economic players. And, that seems like a pretty simple fix, I know, but, I carried that bill for 2 years and couldn't get it through.
It just seems to me that, we can get we can all agree down in Jefferson City that these communities can only take 12.5% from ticket revenue, and we can do all these things to sort of, we can all agree to do everything. But the one thing all of the voters agree on, the politicians can't get it done. It seems to me like it's a broken system down there, and after 20 years, you would think if everyone agrees or the voters agree that we would be able to do it. But now we're going to watch Stan Kroenke, another billionaire, get a massive social welfare program to the detriment of the rest of us.
Well, this is my last session, and I'll continue to work on it. It'll be up to others after I'm gone. I've only been there for 7 years as it is.
Right.
But, you're right. That's something that policy of what is appropriate tax policy. I mean, that's the reason that, that I'm carrying the bill to eliminate the earnings tax, because these tax policies absolutely have an impact, particularly on the St. Louis area, even more than Kansas City.
Right. But the earnings tax, but the earnings tax is an issue, and we can argue that. But it seems like a bigger issue, the self-mutilation issue, is this TIF money that we're giving to billionaires. It's just
again, I think what I had in my bill was if an entity is going to go in that direction, a broader representation of all economic interests on a broader scope. And, I'll continue to push for that. Hopefully that gets through.
Kurt Schaefer, Missouri State Senator, thank you for your time, sir.
Yep, thanks a lot.
You got it. I bring this up only because my sister is a city council member in Arizona, and I asked her, she was showing me a development, and I asked her, I said, well, how much did you give that development? And she said, what do you mean?
Nada.
I said, well, what did the city of Scottsdale give to that person to build it? She was like, I don't understand your question. I said, what kind of TIF? She goes, you mean in Missouri they give businesses money to build things? I said, yeah. She says, they would have me tarred and lynched.
It's like we are the TIF. Is this Missouri the TIF capital of the world?
She was like, I don't know. Wait a minute. You're what? She couldn't comprehend that we give money to billionaires to build stores to put local mom and pop shops out of business in floodplains, which is exactly what this is. But we only do it to people who tell the rest of the country we're terrible. 727.